She told me she loved me and she been waiting. Been fighting hard for your love and I'm running thin on my patience. Needing someone to hug, even took it back to the basics. You see what you got me out here doing? Might have threw me off, but can't nobody stop the movement.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. On behalf of Team Ghostlight, we are thrilled to see each and every one of you this evening. Thank you for joining our community roll call, a chance to celebrate and amplify all the incredible activism and organizing happening in our community.
We were absolutely overwhelmed by the response for this event. We received RSVPs from 48 states, DC, Puerto Rico, and 5 countries around the world. So welcome tonight. The Ghostlight Project came together in 2017 to take a pledge to create spaces that welcome and include all people in efforts to acknowledge exclusion that has often occurred in theater spaces. We acknowledge that erasure and exclusion still exist in our spaces, even in digital spaces, even while we're working for change.
We would like to take this time to acknowledge that wherever we are currently located in the United States, we are on occupied territory. We want to honor and celebrate all of these Indigenous communities, their elders past and present, as well as future generations. We acknowledge that settler colonizers and slavers from Europe used stolen and enforced labor of African people to subsequently develop the land. We honor the lives of all who endured and continue to endure in the face of settler colonialism and white supremacy.
Since we are gathered digitally, let's take a moment to consider the legacy of colonization embedded within technological structures, including the equipment and high-speed internet, which are not available in many Indigenous communities. Even as we meet in virtual solidarity, the technologies that are central to much of the art we make leaves a significant carbon footprint, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect Indigenous peoples worldwide.
So tonight, we invite you to join us in acknowledging all this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation and decolonization.
4 years ago, we started with a pledge, and hundreds of communities gathered across the country in theaters, in colleges, in town squares. So tonight, we meet again, a digital pep rally connecting us across our homes to celebrate and amplify all of the good work happening.
Some of our roll call participants you might know, some might be new. We did a nationwide open call inviting anyone engaged in systematic change in our industry to participate. Then we asked some folks who they thought they should share, and on and on. So tonight you will be meeting over 30 incredible groups and collectives, all working for that collective change. We'll drop links and contact info into the chat so you can all get involved.
Tonight will be a mix of roll call sharing, artistic interludes, calls to action, and a live digital dance party, y'all. But before we jump in, let's take a look back and remember where we started just 4 years ago.
Maybe it's this city, dressed up in all her finery, or the air that passed in the blink of an eye, reminders of promises we couldn't keep. But whatever the reason has you down, let us listen. These are choices we make. Let us be guided by kindness and grace. Let us be good for goodness sake. Let us be good for goodness sake.
Hello, everyone. So, do you remember your first time? Your first time seeing a ghost light? Mine, I think, was in the mid-1980s, shortly after I auditioned for the drama club of my public high school. Our dilapidated auditorium was creaky and dusty and full of impossible magic. I remember the sense of quickening in my belly when I slipped in to peek. Somehow at that time, I knew theater would be my practice, and that made me feel some kind of way. Excited by the possibilities for play and transformation, scared of the vulnerability required, and of the uncertainty of new people and situations I'd find. But because I was, even then, a nerdy student of culture and history, I'd studied the triumphs and obstacles that Black folks had experienced as they trod the boards, and I knew I wanted to be counted in that number. I imagined Florence Mills and Josephine Baker and Paul Robeson, satin and sequins and claps and shouts. In the presence of the ghost light, I felt myself a part of a continuum, a lineage. Every time I've been so fortunate as to enter an otherwise darkened theater and feel the incandescent glow emanating from the ghost light, I'm reminded of the sacredness of what it is we do in the context of all who have come before us, who put their shoulders to the wheel, so to speak, knowing that this art form has the capacity to engender powerful social change, personal and communal transformation. Tonight, with the bone-deep belief that making theater happens trans-temporally, I remind that what we do now is intimately connected to what our forebears in some distant time and place are doing in their now. And I call upon them, our creative ancestry. And two, I hold in my mind's eye all those yet to be faces, those artists who will come after us, who may one day wander into a dusty, creaky theater illuminated by whatever version of a ghost light awaits them. Tonight, as we begin, I invite you to picture in your mind's eye one of those who came before you. Maybe a beloved mentor or a luminary you never got to meet. And I invite you to imagine a new face, a yet to be being, and hear their quickening heart. We face profound challenges at this time, but remember, we are not alone. We are continuing a long, deep work across time and space. We are gathered around the light. They are leaning close now. Can you feel them?
Hello, all. I'm Tyler Thomas.
I am Marin Ireland.
And I am Reggie D. White.
And we are members of The Commissary, a multi-generational group of theater artists who have been meeting and making work together over the past year. In April of 2020, a small group of us started gathering weekly to read plays, discuss them, and simply be in community. And the group met like this for a couple months until the end of May, when, as we all know, George Floyd was murdered and a global reckoning was sparked. This moment launched us as a group into a deep inquiry around how we could gather with deeper intentionality, care, and action. Like many of us, we asked what we as theater makers could do. So we started looking around at the legacy and words and ideas left by our Black revolutionary forebears to figure out how to survive this moment we found ourselves in. And that inquiry blossomed into a project known as Lessons in Survival.
We started out by looking at historical interviews and speeches from the 60s through the 80s as a way of educating ourselves about the leaders whose work paved the way to get us to where we were, but who also had greater visions of where we might be. We started using an in-ear technique as a way to channel or rebroadcast the pieces, where we listen to the interview or speech in our ear and repeat exactly what we hear as we hear it, trying our best to completely surrender to these voices and bring them into this present moment. And we also found ourselves deeply curious about other pieces of found text, like trial transcripts, to try to use theater as a means to explore real life circumstances that felt fictionally incomprehensible, investing in an idea of radical listening in order to serve and uplift these texts and do the real work of walking in the footsteps of those forebears.
We've created 2 documentary-based digital theater projects, Lessons in Survival with The Vineyard and Why Would I Dare, the trial of Crystal Mason, where we collaborated with Crystal Mason and her attorney, Kim T. Cole, to amplify her ongoing fight for clemency in Texas and voting rights activism. Nearly 1 year from our first meeting, we continue to meet 60 strong once a week. The commissary is ultimately an experiment about what happens when we allow the self to recede and lean in, to not just hear, but to listen and to be deeply moved by what we learn. The clip you're about to see tonight is by actor Nicole Lewis doing an in-ear of a speech delivered by Dr. Angela Davis in 2007 at UC Davis entitled, How Does Change Happen?, which appears in full in episode 3 of Lessons in Survival, the series we made in residence with The Vineyard last fall. And if you want to see more of the first season, it's available at The Vineyard's website for a while. So head to thevineyardtheater.org for more.
Knows. Can you think of any person in the United States of America who has not heard the name Martin Luther King? So as I was saying, often those who contribute most powerfully to movements for radical social change are erased in the histories that are transmitted from generation to generation. And I like to use the civil rights movement as an example. Well, because everybody in this country knows who Reverend Martin Luther King is, right? Everybody knows. Can you think of any person in the United States of America who has not heard the name Martin Luther King? And as a matter of fact, most people don't even know that it was a group of Black women who organized the Montgomery bus boycott. Most people haven't heard of the name Joanne Robinson, even though she wrote a book called The Montgomery Bus Boycott and the Women Who Started It. Because that messes with the paradigm, right? And what you don't realize is that the real work happened long before Dr. King ever thought of associating himself with those struggles. we don't know about Joanne Robinson, how she and the members of her organization were trying to start the boycott. And then when Rosa Parks got arrested, and Rosa Parks was an organizer, she wasn't a tired woman, you know? She wasn't the individual you always see portrayed, especially in the visual portrayals of her as sort of the one black woman who manages to make it to the ranks of the heroic historical figures alone. And when she was arrested, Joanne Robinson got a couple of her students, and they stayed up all night long. What was it called? Mimeographing. That was before Xerox, right? They stayed up all night long making those leaflets. And that's how the bus boycott got started. And I say this because that was really unglamorous work. It was work we would not necessarily think about as being that significant, but that was what helped to create that movement. If they hadn't stayed up all night, if they hadn't worked that mimeograph machine, if they hadn't gotten people to go out and distribute all of those leaflets at 6 o'clock in the morning when people, particularly when people who were domestic servants were getting on the bus, it never would have happened. I mean, I'm not saying that the struggle for civil rights wouldn't have happened, but it wouldn't have happened in the way that it did. And it's a very different story. It's a story about people just like you. It is not a story about heroic individualism.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Michael Nace, and I am the Executive Director of Broadway for Racial Justice. Broadway for Racial Justice is an organization that is fighting for racial justice and equity by providing immediate resources, assistance, and amplification for BIPOC in the Broadway and theatrical community at large. In doing so, we help to create safe spaces throughout the theater community for creativity and artistry to thrive. The values that we hold to enact our mission are radical transformation, radical intersectionality, radical inclusivity, radical transparency, radical innovation, and radical integrity. I just want to highlight three things from our organization. The two foundations that we started on was the ideation of a fund for BIPOC, an emergency assistance fund that we have created and that launched in October of 2020, and the BFRJ hotline, which is a hotline that BIPOC can call to report moments of racial trauma in a theatrical setting, whether you are a staff at a theater company or a student at a university, to call and be able to speak with another person of color, to speak about a moment of racial trauma, and whether you just want to talk about it and maybe seek some advice, or whether you want someone to step in and advocate on your behalf. That is the BFRJ hotline, and kind of encompassing those two things as well as allied with BFRJ, a system of accountability that we provide for theatrical institutions that are enacting protocol changes and plans of action to create safer and more equitable spaces. We come in and serve as an accountability checkpoint to make sure that they are serving all within their institution. You can find out more about us at bfrj.org. You can follow us on Instagram at Broadway for Racial Justice. And I just want to say, bottom line for us as an organization, we see the need for transformation and respond with immediate, active, tangible change. We reject the idea that this should be a trickle-down effect that starts on Broadway. We feel that we must radically transform from the New York theater scene, from the regional theater industry, and from educational institutions that are the breeding ground for white supremacist ideals that seek to strip young BIPOC of the beauty of who they are outside of the white gaze. We are fighting to create a true theater community. Thank you.
Hey there. I actually thought we were going to be having a video. So I will speak improvisationally. The Global Theater Project is located here in Baltimore and Florence, Italy. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this month, actually. And we are shifting our focus from bringing attention, as we have throughout the years, and action to issues of social importance, both locally and globally, to the one issue that we think is the most important for the health of this planet and our nation, which is the relationship between human beings. So we are focusing on our Creative Core initiative, and that membership is trained in a particular process to build community and to work with our new partner, Community Renewal International, located in Shreveport, Louisiana, and elsewhere throughout the country and the world, Africa as well as Europe. And we use that process in order to participate in creating caring communities, that using the theatrical process as a distillation as to how we can grow more whole human beings that are creative and can reach their personal and fullest potential to give the most possible to our communities through a caring relationships. So that is what I have to say to you all. Other than I would love to find out more about you. I'd love to talk about what Creative Core membership really is about, how we're growing in the coming year, 10 years. And if you're interested in coming on the ride with us, I'm more than interested in hearing from you and talking specifically. So thanks so much. I'm really glad to be here. I made a nice video, so.
Hi everyone, I'm Carolina Ortiz.
Hi everyone, I'm Alejo Vietti and we represent La Gente Network.
We are a network of Latinx theater makers working to increase visibility, engagement, and advocacy of Latinx designers, technicians, and stage managers in live performance.
La Gente Network was born in response to the lack of Latinx representation in the American theater and live entertainment. Last September, we launched our Instagram account to promote and amplify the work of our members.
Since its creation, we have connected over 200 Latinx identifying members across the United States and Puerto Rico through our social media sites.
This June, we'll be launching our website, lagentenetwork.com, that will feature resources, including a database and search tool to facilitate introductions for potential employers in the hiring of members.
La Gente works and speaks in solidarity with other BIPOC networks and advocacy groups, learning and actively implementing anti-racist strategies, working towards the dismantling of oppressive practices in the theater.
While working in concert with other networks, we create a better ecosystem in our industry. We are La Gente Network.
And we are stronger together. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the face of a global pandemic and a racial justice crisis, Calling Up Justice is uniquely prepared and positioned to respond. We are a personal practice, a company practice, and a group practice. We are producing performances of justice online, on stage, and in real life. We share our practice in order to increase these performances in your life. We are collaborative, anti-racist, anti-capitalist, non-hierarchical. We are developing new, accessible, and decolonized practices for cultural production while intentionally prioritizing resources and contributions of marginalized peoples. We use digital technologies to collaborate nationally and internationally, live and asynchronously. We create and broadcast content, generate social justice events and practices, join and lead think tanks, connect artists to projects, and manage a tech co-op. Our practice centers on an intersectional lens, incubating and developing an accessible, anti-racist, decolonized, anti-capitalist, gender equity design. We advise, consult, fundraise, and partner with individuals and organizations nationally, creating ripple effects of positive impact. We work on a radical generosity model and reinvest in the movement and our people. Calling Up Justice is a transmedia social justice practice. Sign up now to connect to the practice and the work.
Hey, Willa. Can you hear us? You are on.
Thank you. I'm Willa Taylor. I'm the Walter Director of Education and Engagement at the Goodman Theater in Chicago. And during this pandemic, I've been part of a visioning project that will help define Goodman as we move into our future. The process, led by our Associate Managing Director, Marissa Fort, brought us together to create a roadmap for Goodman to be a more inclusive, diverse, equitable, anti-racist, and accessible organization as we approach our centennial anniversary and beyond. Our idea plan is a living document that outlines the actions we will take, the goals that are our bright star, and the ways by which we will measure our achievements. The board, the staff, and the artists of Goodman are holding ourselves and each other accountable for the success of this plan. And I am looking forward to how the values we have inscribed are brought to life and made manifest. To review our plan, go to goodmantheater.org. Thank you.
Oh, sounds like you might be muted. No, we can't hear you.
There we go. Now you can hear me. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Macy Schmidt and I'm the founder of the Broadway Sinfonietta, an all-female identifying and majority women of color orchestral collective with the mission of uplifting the existence, excellence, and equity of female BIPOC musicians on Broadway. A big impetus for launching the Sinfonietta for me was asking myself exactly what I wanted to see change in the industry and going directly to the source, which in this case was seeing more BIPOC women musicians being hired for their skill and qualification in leadership positions and across the board. And so a big part of our mission, especially during this time, is tangibly creating paid employment. Since our official launch in October, we've been working on commission for producers and brands and even full-scale digital musicals such as Ratatouille, as well as consulting with industry leaders, contractors, et cetera, on how to hire more diversely and equitably in Broadway music departments. Our amazing managing director, Leah Vicencio, who sadly couldn't be here tonight, is currently developing a slew of education initiatives for BIPOC women music students across high schools and universities, though for the time being, kind of phase one of our work has really been providing as much active employment as possible. And we're just excited that there are so many groups doing incredible work to create a more equitable landscape in the theater community, and are excited to partner with and support and uplift their work and find ways to collaborate and ensure that women of color are being included in the diversification of Broadway music departments.
Hi, Hi, my name is Inessa Selditz. Hi. Hi, my name is Inessa Selditz. I'm here with my co-founder, Aki Carpenter. We're both experiential creative directors based out of New York City. I led creative for the Hudson Yards Observation Deck over here, and Aki led the creative for the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and is currently doing the Obama Presidential Center. Our collective is an initiative by directors of color for fellow and future directors of color. We aim to strengthen the network for fellow directors and shine a light for future ones. We aim to unite leadership to demand systemic change across industries, which we know is super important. And I'm going to pass this to Aki.
Last summer, there were revolts within 6 major industries: advertising, architecture, museums, media, technology, and theater. We focus our work on these industries because they have a huge impact on people's everyday lives and have some of the worst levels of representation, especially at a leadership level. So our first initiative ever was a conference last fall. The conference brought together directors, including some folks in this roll call, like Clint Ramos, who invited us here tonight. Thank you, Clint. We want to continue to build a platform for these important conversations. And currently we're planning a late spring conference, so we hope to see you all there. Most of all, we just are really looking forward to when we can support theater in person again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, y'all. We're part of a 10-person collective of artists who make up the Center for Performance and Civic Practice, CPCP.
CPCP is a resource for individuals and organizations working in arts-based partnerships across different municipal and nonprofit sectors like public health, planning, transit, and community development.
Our core values are collaborative creation, racial and cultural equity, and economic human rights.
We collaborate, we co-design.
We facilitate and we support.
We advocate.
And we do this work because we know that artists, designers, culture makers, and heritage holders are crucial contributors to the well-being of our communities.
Who, in this age of pandemic, injustice, and uprising, can help reimagine and recreate a just and healthy future for all.
Hi, my name is Isabel Rubio, and I'm part of Equity Design Through Mentorship. Jane Munsky, production designer, started our group early in the spring, summer. We are a group of stage and film professionals from 829 United Scenic Artists that emphasize Black, Indigenous, people of color from the range, mentorship from the range of junior high school to college students. What we were responding to was the need of the lack of BIPOC designers. We are striving to expand and promote professional one-on-one artistic mentorships. Our inherent mission is to develop the awareness of design and craft-oriented career possibilities in our field, as well as guidance towards film theater education programs in New York City. As of now, we reach 60 schools from junior high through college. We have 60 individual one-on-one mentorships. And we have our Saturday sessions, which include people like Alejo Benetti, the crew from Hamilton, where we discuss our process, our journeys as designers. Our main goal is to reach out to designers of color who often fall through the cracks, either through lack of education, lack of connections, or lack of financial support. please feel free to reach out to us. We have our website, etdmentorship.org, and we also have our YouTube channel where you can see all our Saturday sessions. Please join us. We really want to join other groups so that we can expand this program. Thank you.
Hello, friends and family. I am Eden Espinosa. I am the co-founder of Affect Change, along with Karen Olivo. Artists for Economic Transparency was born shortly after the murder of George Floyd, when we found out that there were several theater owners and producers in our community that had contributed to 45's campaign. And I immediately felt like I didn't know the infrastructure of our business at all. And so we formed Affect as a resource and educational empowerment tool for stakeholders in the industry, as well as artists, to know where our money goes and how the infrastructure of the Broadway business is conducted. But as we have continued to grow, we have also enlisted the wisdom and knowledge of Wendy Garcia, who is the Chief Diversity Officer for the New York Comptroller's Office. We have developed a pod of accountability and consultation for production companies that want to hire an executive diversity officer as well as an HR department. So that is in the works. We are also working with Broadway for Racial Justice on a radical justice, equity, diversity, inclusion writer for artists in the theatrical community as well as Broadway community, as we're going to work to bring with you for negotiations for contracts. You can find us at affectchange.org. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at the same name. Thank you so much. And I'm honored to be here.
So I said, okay, I want to create the process that causes for an Aretha or for Malcolm X or for Martin Luther King.
And we decided that it is time for us to take over our own lives and do it the way we know we want to do it.
The National Black Theater was cited by President Reagan in 1986 as one of the 63 most important art institutions in the United States of America. And last year alone, the National Black Theater's touring, performance, and workshop programs entertained more than 30,000 persons.
All Black artists must begin either to build or to support Black theaters in all the Black communities in America. Theaters that should be concerned with the truth of our lives.
My mother had said to me, Barbara, you feel better when you're doing for other people.
MBT looks a little different today than it did 50 years ago, but the mission is exactly the same. The values are exactly the same, just remixed for this new paradigm.
None of this happened overnight. Neither of these things could have happened either without the driving force of a dream and a great dreamer.
So the first thing that one is told when they come to the National Black Theater is to have a love affair with yourself. And the next thing is to begin to try and love someone else.
Hello, everyone. Apologies, I was on mute. My name is Jonathan McCory. I am the artistic director of Dr. Barbara Ann Teer's National Black Theater, and just really, really happy and excited to be a part of this evening. It's quite profound and quite beautiful to see the wide spectrum of just groups and advocacy and the way that artists are taking really life into their own hands and creating something powerful with it. Dr. Barbara Ann Teer had a quote that I think is the culmination of what this evening is: where there is love, there is no fear. And because there's so much love being poured into each and every one of our initiatives and each and every one of our spaces, fear is being eradicated, fear is being abolished, fear is not being allowed to have a root to create shame. So National Black Theater, we are still on our corner on 125th Street and Fifth Avenue. We are going through a capital redevelopment and totally reimagining what does it mean to be a cultural destination site for Black culture? What does it mean to create a space for liberation? What does it mean to create space for love? What does it mean to create space to allow for who we are and where we are to really be centered and rooted where fear doesn't have a space? And how do we do that? We do that through an equation that we have created: Black liberation plus art plus Black liberation plus art plus placemaking equals human transformation. We are about creating spaces for the human body to be transformed, and welcome anyone to be a part of that journey. If you're seeking human transformation through the zeitgeist of Black liberation, please join us. Please be a part of it. Please check us out. And just want to say thank you to the Ghostlight Project for keeping the lights on in this dark time, and this what could be considered a dark time, to allow for us to kind of be emboldened and allow for the light within to shine out. All right, thank you so much and have a wonderful, blessed day.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anu Yadav, and I'm an actress, playwright, and I am formerly homeless. And I'm here to say that we artists and cultural workers have a home and a movement to end poverty led by the poor as part of the 140 million poor and low wealth people in the United States. I'm here with Cairo Center for Religions, Rights, and Social Justice. It's an anchor organization of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, a movement in 44 states and in DC to abolish all oppressions and systemic poverty and racism and the war economy. We're putting out a podcast. You should listen to it. And we are building the independent political power of the poor across all lines of difference. I'm talking white, rural, homeless teens alongside former Black Panthers, welfare moms, undocumented Latinx laborers, Indigenous leaders, Asian folks. We are getting into step because we cannot afford not to. And as the poor and dispossessed of this nation, we are incredibly brilliant and creative, and we will transform society. So join us.
Hello, I'm Gabrielle Jackson, founder and executive director of the Joy Jackson Initiative.
And I'm Julie Willette, managing director.
The Joy Jackson Initiative's mission is founded on disrupting old models of work for arts organization in the US and beyond. With a dedicated team of 25 full-time volunteers, JJI has developed a robust series of learning tools designed for institutional self-reflection. These tools help organizations measure their structural integrity to support and celebrate the BIPOC collaborators who enrich their spaces with an emphasis on examining their relationships with Black and Indigenous people of color.
Our primary tool, the Joy Jackson Assessment for Systemic Equity, is based on the personal testimonies of more than 100 BIPOC theater practitioners, ranging from students to Broadway professionals, and is fortified with the community's formal demands for racial equity. By measuring both culture and structure, the assessment collects and contextualizes data to help arts leaders understand the stories of white supremacy within their own organizations and turn their awareness into anti-racist action.
The Joy Jackson Assessment has just finished its beta testing phase, and we are currently in development for our facilitation program, which will connect arts leaders with the tools and resources necessary to make long-lasting institutional change, thereby setting a new standard for racial equity in the American theater industry.
And as we grow, we'll continue to develop new tools that expand beyond theater and address the racial inequities present across the arts and entertainment industries worldwide.
If you'd like to collaborate with us or know an organization that would benefit from taking the assessment, you can find us online at joyjackson.org.
Hey, welcome.
Hello.
You're on. Yeah,
Hey.
perfect.
Oh, awesome. My name is Drew Shade. I'm the founder and artistic director of Broadway Black. Broadway Black is a media platform dedicated to fostering artistic diversity and excellence for the love of Black theater artists through community engagement, education, and digital expressionism. We do that through several different mediums. We do that through a podcast called Off Book, the Black Theater Podcast, which is every week on Sundays live on YouTube currently. We also do daily content to talk about what's happening with the Black theater artist. Currently, we're gearing up for the second annual Antonio Awards, celebrated to uplift the work and art of Black theater artists, Broadway and off-Broadway. And Broadway Black is always here to change the image of how Black people are shown and inspired and uplifted through digital expression. You can find us at BroadwayBlack.com, as well as donate to our Patreon so we can keep creating great content. Patreon.com/BroadwayBlack. And thank you for having me. I hope this works. Perfect.
Hi, I'm Kimiya Nishikawa from Japan.
Hi, I'm Rodrigo Munoz from Mexico City.
I'm Chasi from Manila, Philippines, co-founder of Sea Lighting Foundation.
SLF is a grassroots fundraiser committed to giving monthly $500 microgrants to immigrant theater workers affected by COVID-19 theater shutdowns.
We have raised more than $140,000 in June of 2020, and we are still raising funds up to this day to help our community.
Please help us spread the word and visit our website, sealightingfoundation.com, or follow us on Instagram, Sea Lighting Foundation.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Bronston. I'm the administrator of Curating in Color. Curating in Color is a tool to increase diversity and foster inclusion in the world of theater musicians. Specifically, it's a database and a meeting place for BIPOC people who work in the theater. That includes all musical positions: musical directors, arrangers, pit and session musicians and other instrumentalists, audio engineers, composers, lyricists, copyists, rehearsal pianists, programmers, choir directors, just about everyone that works in theater that makes music. There are theater jobs available right now, paid theater work for musicians around the country, and they are not hiring people of color because they say they cannot find them. Creating in Color is designed to answer that question. So if you know a Black person or a person of color or an Indigenous person who is a musician, who is able to play at all, please send them to us at creatingincolor.com. Even if they have never played in a theater, that is totally not an issue. We know where the obvious candidates are. The goal is to increase the entire pool. Also, of course, finding the obvious candidates as well. We are in partnership with Magic and with the Broadway Advocacy Coalition, and we're looking to create future partnerships with historically Black colleges and universities, including the National Band Directors Consortium, as well as alumni organizations at various historically Black colleges and universities, to expand the list of gifted instrumentalists of color who can join the world of theater musicians. So I implore you to please spread the word, both among the musicians that you know who work in the theater and musicians that you know that play the guitar, that play the trumpet, that play anything, and that you think would like to have some paid work. We are Creating in Color at creatingincolormusic.com. Thank you.
Bendiciones, mi gente. Mi nombre es Mauricio. I'm streaming to you from the land of the Wappinger Lenape, and I am a core faculty member with Art Equity. We provide tools, resources, and training at the intersection of art and activism. With over 5,000 individuals trained, Art Equity is building a broad base of individuals and organizations who are strategically poised to create and sustain a culture of equity, inclusion, and justice through arts and culture. Some of our programming includes the Black, Indigenous, People of Color Surviving Predominantly White Institutions series. This is a 5-part conversation supporting artists of the global majority who are navigating predominantly white spaces. Over 4,100 people participated in this series last year. Secondly, we've got the Black, Indigenous, People of Color Leadership Circle. This is a cohort of 50 BIPOC leaders of cultural institutions, and we gather to provide support and systems of accountability while creating dynamic new leadership models that center BIPOC experiences.
Thank you, Mauricio. I'm Michael Robertson, Art Equity's Deputy Director, zooming in from Lenape territory. Just a couple more programs. Our National Facilitator Program brings together arts practitioners to deepen our skills around how to effectively support conversations around anti-racism, anti-oppression. And then finally, we just launched, we're very excited, a series called Talking Back. It's a web series with artistic leaders and activists focusing on what it takes to transform not just our individual institutions, but the entire field. So it's a little bit about what we're doing. Thank you so much for having us. We're grateful to be on this journey with you all.
Hello. Hi. My name is Nehemiah Luckett, and I am so honored to be here with you to introduce a relatively new group, Magic, Musicians Advocacy Group for Inclusion and Change. This group was born out of the 2020 uprisings for Black lives around the world after the murder of George Floyd. It started with a small group of music directors, and because of the sometimes solitary nature of our work, many of us were meeting each other for the first time. We traded stories, we asked each other for advice, we spilled some tea, and we decided to continue meeting regularly. The mission of Magic is to provide members of music departments and theatrical productions space to create community, actively question the status quo in our industry, and to share knowledge and tools for taking action to dismantle white supremacy and all other systems of dominance in service of our collective liberation within and beyond artistic spaces. Magic is composed of members from educational settings to community theaters, from regional theaters to off-Broadway and Broadway, anywhere music is used to provide foundation for theatrical storytelling. We believe that hearing from a diverse range of experience enriches the conversation and opens new paths forward. Some of our core values include striving to create a space where we can all bravely be our most authentic selves, explicitly following the lead of the traditionally marginalized, practicing collaboration and shared collective leadership, and moving at the speed of trust. Adrienne Marie Brown, Emergent Strategy. We are currently collecting data on music departments. Please see the chat for our survey. We're developing our website, seeking out collaborators, and finding ways to demystify the work of music departments at all production levels and imagining together how we want to take action. Big love and shout out to Creating in Color and Broadway Sinfonietta, Magic members. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to the Ghostlight Project for having us here. And we look forward to continuing the conversations that are starting here tonight. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Alexandria Wales.
Hi, my name is Sienna Raptor, and I use they, she pronouns.
And I use she, her. When was the last time you said, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. I don't share your lived experience, but I am here to listen, learn, and actively expand my worldview so we can successfully share space and create art together. Humans are creatures of habit. Many of us don't like admitting we don't know or understand what is happening around us. BH05 is creating space to encourage folks to shift their perceptions of what it means to work with deaf artists. We educate and remind that generating successful works and collaborations can more readily occur when deaf individuals are more wholly acknowledged. And that's acknowledged not just by their language, but also by their culture and their history. With my own intersectionality of being a biracial woman, an artist, and deaf, wherever and whenever I show up, it is with all of the above and more.
As a hearing person, actor, writer, and assistant to the incredible Alexandria Wales, I feel it is my job to consistently acknowledge how this discomfort can be a tool for learning and to not feel ashamed or afraid to embrace the moments where I don't have all the answers. We at BH05 work to actualize a space where disability, deafness, and signed languages become both normalized and humanized, where world views get expanded and artistry gets nurtured. To learn more about our work and what we do, please visit bho5.org. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rihanna Yazi, and I'm the artistic director of a 12-year-old American Indian theater company that is based in Dakota Oyankee territory, which is also known as the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I wanted to take the time to tell you a little bit about a brand new project that we are working on. We are creating a community-created Dakota devised work play. This is a really exciting thing for us to work on because there are three ways that we produce work at New Native Theater. We do your conventional theater, but we also do devised work within community that talks about cultural or social justice subjects. And we do at times present work from other First Nations across Turtle Island. One of the things that is really important for us as an American Indian organization is that that tribal specificity. When we talk about our work in our community, and we work with tribally specific artists, what we do is we strengthen the core of that artist, which strengthens their cultural connectedness, which then strengthens their tribal nation. And if there is something you are looking to do to support American Indian and Indigenous people, please be aware that Deb Haaland needs your senator's support to be confirmed as the first American Indian person to be running the Department of Interior. So please look into that as you are looking into the names of the Indigenous peoples on whose land you live, and ways that you can support American Indian tribal nations. Yeah.
Hi, friends. I was so caught up in everyone's speeches, I didn't realize that it was me next. So hello. Thank you so much for having me here to talk about Public Works. Public Works is an artistic program within the Public Theater that centers community in creating longitudinal relationships that feed the ambitious works of creative art that we do every summer at the Delacorte. We create year-round programming that is from classes to our various affinity groups, our monthly potlucks, our ambassador programs, our community newsletters. But all of these are rooted deeply within our 6 core values of mutual benefit, partnership, deep listening, radical hospitality, equity, and those values inform our goals, and those goals build our program. And our hope is that we have been inspired by the work of theater companies from around the country and around the globe that have not always been invited into artistic palaces to create this work. So I want to acknowledge that we are inspired and building off of that work and focusing directly upon how can we center community that also informs and gets into the bloodstream of these artistic palaces and help shape the work that we do. We believe that the community is the heartbeat of every theater company, and that every theater company should be reflective in the heartbeat of that community. So we are in deep partnership and mutuality with our 8 amazing community partner organizations in all 5 boroughs. In terms of specific projects that we've worked on, because of the, we normally do a 200-person pageant at the Delacorte Theater, but because that was shut down this year, we pivoted, and we were learning from our partners what it meant to be a good partner. And in these times, our community partner organizations were in great need. So we shared resources and came up with creating a documentary that is really a love letter to our community partner organizations who are doing epic work during this time in supporting their communities, and a love letter to our community members who are the inspiration and heartbeat of the work that we do. We also are part of a larger network of other institutions that are working with communities and trying to change how our communities can impact our institutions. And so we thought we would come together and do a project together. And that was the birth of the Seed Project. And the Seed Project, we shared a collective prompt, and each theater was invited to create a public art piece that reflected their community's response to that prompt. In New York, we did, we had our community answer the prompt, and we took pictures of them and we projected them on the outside, the facade of the public theater, which really for us was a gesture of who the community who really is the heart of the community for us at the Public Theater, which is these amazing people who answered today. I'm planting a seed of, and it was a way for us to envision a future together. So that's what we have specifically been working on, and something that we just really are hoping to nurture, and a call is to, in these times, community programs started being cut in a lot of these organizations. And I just want us to put pressure and support the value of this work in these times, because our community is truly the future of our field. So thank you so much for inviting us to be a part of this. We have links in the chat about trailers to those documentaries, and so inspired by you all. Thank you for the amazing work that everyone is doing. Good night.
Hi, everyone. My name is Annalisa Diaz. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm calling from Piscataway land, colonially known as Baltimore, Maryland, here tonight representing Groundwater Arts. Groundwater Arts is a artist-led collaborative, and there are 4 of us there's only 2 of us here tonight representing Groundwater Arts. And briefly, groundwater shapes, stewards, and seeds a just future through creative practice, consultation, and community building. And for us, climate justice equals racial justice, equals economic justice, equals a decolonized future. Much of our work is sort of in the face of the climate crisis, and the narrative around the climate crisis is so often one of doom and gloom. And for us, that we sort of look at that and we think that that is a crisis of imagination. And so who better than artists to help restory the future in the face of the climate crisis? And I just want to turn it over to Tara to talk about one of the projects that we are working on this year.
Yes, our big community building project this year is the Divest to Invest campaign, where we are asking 500 arts workers by June in 100 theater institutions to take just one pledge out of 3, y'all, just one, to divest from fossil fuels and invest in BIPOC, invest in frontline communities, and invest in a just decolonized future. So to get involved, there's lots of things you can do. You can visit our website at groundwaterarts.com, and you'll see our Divest to Invest campaign. You can also check us out on socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Groundwater Arts, no spaces, for more. And we encourage everyone here today, everyone on the call, everyone listening, to make the pledge. Y'all, it's real easy. We don't need to be chained to fossil fuels anymore, especially as they make BIPOC people sacrifice zones. And we don't need to be doing that. So thanks, y'all. Mado.
Hey, y'all. I'm Brooke Shibashi, she, her, hers, co-founder of Be an Arts Hero. So we were born last June as a direct response to this crisis to mobilize the entire arts and culture sector to rally for federal relief. We're here to elevate and position our sector as a legislative priority for support and investment that is commensurate with our socioeconomic value. So we're an $877 billion sector. That's 5.1 million jobs, 4.5% of the GDP. We're big business because we're local business. Shout out to my friends in Alaska I see here on this call. Our motto is, there can be no full American economic recovery without a robust arts and culture recovery. We need everyone to raise their voices to demand successive waves of relief and recovery legislation to ensure the survival of our human and our physical infrastructure. Otherwise, there will be no industries to return to when the crisis is over, and the human toll will be immeasurable. There are 2.7 million arts workers who are still fully unemployed, and our sector remains largely shuttered for the foreseeable future. So this, everybody, is our Arts Avengers Assemble moment. We need all hands on deck. So please join the movement. Contact your lawmakers to support our joint framework for relief and recovery. It's the DAWN Act, Defend Arts Workers Now, and Putting Creative Workers to Work, PCWW, in conjunction with Americans for the Arts and hundreds of arts organizations across the country. Visit beanartshero.com for more info, and thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. We're the steering committee members of APAC, the Asian American Performers Action Coalition, a volunteer organization of actors focused on bringing greater and more authentic representation to Asian American artists. We were recently recognized with an Obie Award for advocacy and equity, diversity, and inclusion.
For the past 10 years, we have compiled statistics on the hiring practices of the largest stages in New York City according to race.
What began as a search for an answer to the question, why aren't Asian actors being hired on NYC's main stages, turned into a yearly documentation of the racial inequities for actors, writers, and directors built into our theatrical ecosystem.
Our annual visibility report captures how well New York stages reflect the vibrant and diverse population of the city.
Or not.
Our next report will drop this spring, and you can see it for yourselves at our website, apacnyc.org.
Change has been too slow, but change is possible. We need the voices of global majority artists now more than ever. Until there is equity in the system, we need to empower ourselves through community.
We stand here today in community with all of you to work towards creating a theater industry that does not just make space for us, but that really sees us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi. My name is Natasha Yvette Williams, and I am with Black Theater United. It was a group that was born in direct response to the murder of George Floyd this past summer. We are a group of theater makers who focus on awareness, advocacy, and accountability. We uplift Black creatives on and off the stage and strive to connect community. We are celebrating our rich Black theater legacy and history as we continue through our arts and voices to protect and illuminate the human condition. We stand for change and hand it off to generations to come. We do this in several different ways, and one of which is building our community involvement, working to affect policy through local elections and causes, and through our new initiatives like BTU Rise, which is a mentorship program that benefits dream makers who are still in college and studying in this field, and also trailblazers, those professionals who might be looking to change and transition into different areas within our community. We will partner with other organizations to achieve the shared goal of making our industry a more equitable for all, with a focus on Black artists and theater makers of color. Thank you for having me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel Fox. I'm a school director, ballet master, and choreographer for Madison Ballet, and I'm coming to you from the Ho-Chunk Nation. At Madison Ballet, we are excited to begin work on a project that is choreographed by 3 local Black choreographers in our virtual production, Lift Every Voice. It is our intention with this project to expand our repertoire to encompass a cast of dancers, choreographers, and administrative staff to reflect the world around us. We want to uplift local BIPOC artists in this project by filming works in our local Museum of Contemporary Art with photography, paintings, and other works by artists of color. As a woman of color, it has been my dream to bring representation throughout our company and start a conversation on our community that there must be change. Ballet is notoriously behind the times when it comes to racial equity, women's rights, and general treatment of artists involved. It is my intention to change as much of this as possible with the support of our CEO, managing director, staff, and faculty. Lift Every Voice is a catalyst that we need to build on as an organization. The belief that there aren't a lot of choreographers of color in our world feels like a message we have heard many times over, even in the past hour or so. There are so many wonderful artists of color throughout the country that need support to break through into, specifically for us, the ballet space and the regional ballet space. Being in the Midwest, there's a resistance to acknowledge the disparities and inequity within our communities. While we continue to advocate for racial justice in the ballet world through our Lift Every Voice production, we look for support in giving donations and suggestions in anything you want to share with me. I would love to be able to speak to anyone and pick their brain on ways that we could really infiltrate the ballet world. So thank you all for having me. If you want to reach me, my email is in the chat. And you guys are also wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you do.
Hey, my name is Itona Deloy, an early career lighting designer based in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm also here to represent Design Action. For those of you who do not know, Design Action is an anti-racism advocacy group comprised of Black, Indigenous, people of color, and white designers ranging from early career to mid and established. For the past several months, we've come together to talk about racial inequities within our industry, build relationships amongst designers, but mainly to support and uplift our needs as BIPOC designers and artists in America and internationally. Lately, we've been holding meetings with union leaders as an information session resource for early designers eager to know more about it, as well as host talkback discussions with guest designers within the TV and film industry. At Design Action, we are committed to the power of community and understand the value in coming together to tackle our industry if we want to see change needed in our world and theater environment. We host meetings every Monday from 8 to 10 p.m., so please feel free to join us at any time. If you'd like to follow up with us outside of our meetings, we have recently launched the website as well as an IG page that will soon be highlighting some BIPOC artists and designers within our group, so please stay tuned for that. If you have any more questions, please feel free to email us at designaction2020@gmail.com. Thank you for your time.
Hello, actually I'm from Ripe Time. Hello, my name is Rachel Dickstein. I'm the founder of Ripe Time. I'm speaking from Lenape lands, colonially known as Brooklyn, New York. Our mission is to elevate stories of power and agency in women's lives. We aim to not only expose the harm of the patriarchal waters we swim in, but to create performance that models and advocates for different possibilities for future power structures, ones that are regenerative and not transactional. So to do that, we're making Candidate X. It's a cross between documentary theater, dance theater, and a community meeting. It's a devised work based on interviews with past, present, and future American female identified leaders in every single state and territory in this country. It tells stories of BIPOC and LGBTQ women across generations, geography, and identity. Candidate X elevates stories of survival, hope, and a vision for a just future. Like all of our work, it's visual, sonic, expressionist, embodied. It invites empathy and listening that comes with a woman-centered leadership model. It is co-created by a more than 80% BIPOC team and 100% women-led. The piece creates shared experiences to incite action. So in the spirit of this awesome community share, if you know and love a kick-ass BIPOC leader who could be a person running for office, the head of a community board, your mom, connect us to them, or even better, volunteer to join our community interview-based process. Who doesn't want to ask around this country, if you could transform the world, what would it look like? Women activists lead from the heart and define their own rules, and so do the nearly 200 makers and doers gathered tonight for this amazing group. So go to our page on the Ripe Time website, listed in the chat, to check out ways that you can help our grassroots effort. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rob Lakey, and I'm honored to be the penultimate roll call group here. I'm coming to you from the traditional lands of the Lenape, otherwise known as Manhattan. I am a commercial creative producer and one of the 8 co-originating members of the Industry Standard Group, or TISG. We are here to create more access for Black, Indigenous, and person of color investors and producers to financial participation, disrupt and change the opaque norms of the commercial producing industry, and support and cultivate Black, Indigenous, and person of color investors and producers, as well as their projects. The organization's stakeholders will be exclusively from self-identifying Black, Indigenous, and person of color communities. We feel that by expanding the network of people investing in theater, we will be widening the pool of commercial entertainment ventures overall and building a new industry standard. Please visit us on our website and through our social media to find out more about supporting our group. We'll be opening up membership hopefully relatively within the next couple of months. So you can visit our website to find out more and subscribe to get more information. Thank you so much, and it's been very inspiring. Have a good evening.
Hey everybody, my name is Jalen Livingston and I am the Director of Industry Initiatives here at the Broadway Advocacy Coalition, or BAC. We are a multidisciplinary organization utilizing artists and uniting artists with legal experts and community leaders to harness storytelling to change the systems and policies that perpetuate racism. We do this by facilitating and supporting and connecting others to the use of the arts and storytelling for impact. Our programs and initiatives are currently concentrated in the criminal justice system and the theater industry. I want to highlight some of our programming within these 2 blocks of concentration. So the Theater of Change is a course we developed on the campus of Columbia Law School, where artists, advocates, and law students and directly impacted individuals work together to use storytelling and artistry to make change. We work with Cody Renard Richard and his scholarship for young students of color in college who are studying theater making. We have our Artivism Fellowship, which this year has been giving funds to Black women who are at the intersection of artist and activist in their work and who are creating change. And lastly, I want to mention our Reimagining Equitable Productions workshop, which we are currently planning with a handful of Broadway companies and theaters and theater owners to facilitate with them a process of developing new standards of racial equity on Broadway. So if you want to sign up to keep in the loop with the work that we're doing or volunteer your time, please look at the link in the chat. Also, as a member with Ghostlight, I just want to thank everybody for riding with us tonight and coming together as an industry. I want to take this time to bring back the magnificent Nehemiah Luckett from Magic, who will lead us in some community singing, because what is Ghostlight without some call and response? After which we'll come back to me and I will facilitate us through the shining of our lights together.
Hi.
Oh, the unmuting. It's so nice to be back, and wow, just what a wonderful, wonderful evening this has been. I'm Nehemiah, my pronouns are he, him. I'm on the land of the Lenape here in Harlem. And actually, want to do a quick introduction, Orion?
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Orion. My pronouns are they or he. I'm currently on Tiwa land, so-called Albuquerque.
And it is such an honor to actually be co-facilitating this section with you. I know that one of the things that I have missed the most this past year has been the ability to actually be in a room and singing with other people. Just taking a moment to take that in, that it has really almost been a year since I've been able to do that, since we have been able to do that. And this is just, it's so great to be here with you and to have this space and time, knowing that we first knew of each other back at Occupy Wall Street. And then we actually got to work together on Primer with Jalen, who just kicked us in together. Now to be able to just share tonight with all of the wonderful people who have gathered here and all of these wonderful communities that have come together, I feel an energy that is building up, and it feels like we just need to launch into song. And I am so grateful, Orion, that we'll get to do that together.
Yay! So the roots of this song are, the words are by Leonard Cohen. You may recognize the words, and the melody is reworked by the Thrive Street Choir. So I'll teach it and break it down for everyone who would like to learn it and get it in your bones. And then we'll put it all together with Nehemiah in a moment. So please, if you'd like to, repeat after me. Forget your perfect offering, forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring, just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything, there is a crack in everything. Then the last part gets a little funkier. It goes, that's how the light gets in, that's how the light gets in. Let's just do that last part once again. That's how the light gets in, that's how the light gets in. And you've got it. Let's put it all together one time through. Forget your perfect offering, forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring, just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in, that's how the light gets in. Yeah, I can feel you, though I cannot hear you. And we'll put that all together several times with Nehemiah in a moment, but first we turn it back over to the magnificent Jalen.
Oh, it's amazing. Orion, I'm so glad to see your face. Nehemiah, I'm so glad that you are leading us through this with Orion. I just want to, on behalf of everyone who helped to organize this event tonight, to just say thank you for the space that you all have created together. Thank you for this time that we have spent. And, you know, no Ghostlight event can really be a Ghostlight event unless we're shining some light, right? And I want to take a moment for us to just kind of breathe in all the organizations that we have heard from today and think about how can we commit to each other in this Zoom room today? Do we believe that there is enough life force and will for change that if we, us humbled Zoom room, commit to the work ahead of us, that it will spill out into the world, that something that we do tonight can somehow make the world a better place? And so what I want us to do is to just take your phone, if you have one, or take, you know, if you have a lantern, go get your lantern. But what I'll use is the flashlight on my phone, and we're going to shine our lights and our Zoom boxes to get together as a symbolic kind of commitment to the work moving ahead, a commitment to the work and a commitment to uplift each other through the work. Everyone, we're in it together now. We've all heard from all these organizations. This is now our extended family. Let's go out into the world. Let's go outside of our Zoom boxes, and let's continue to do the work that we have been doing for years, and hopefully for years and years to come. So as I shine my light, I'm going to invite Magic back to sing us down as we also sing this song with them as well. After which, dance party, people. All right. Take a nice deep breath in. Let it out. Take another deep breath in. Let that one out. Okay. Let's sing together. We'll do it call and response. I'm going to put my light down so that I can use my fingers and hands to tell you when to come in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Forget your perfect offering. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring. Just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Forget your perfect offering. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring. Just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Forget your perfect offering. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring. Just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Forget your perfect offering. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring. Just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light, one more time. Forget your perfect offering. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring. Just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in.
30 million super
March 13th, 2020. bought a lot of groceries, learned how to put a mask on, then thought, oh shit, there won't be clubs or parties for a long time. Call your DJ friends. How do you use the internet? Beep, boop, boop, beep. The experts said social distance. We said, okay, but we need to keep dancing together. Social Distance, hat tip to Lee Kinney for the name, has hosted over 60 parties to date, fundraising over $10,000 for organizations and social justice causes including Covenant House, WHO, the Ali Forney Center, food banks, voting rights organizations, NYC restaurants, and more. We have done partner events with Political Subversities, Prelude Festival, Bates College, and Playco. Social Distance is on Etage, Sunny Hit, and Jenny Gersten. They invite you to clear a space to dance, throw on a cute light or an outfit, and crank the music on speakers or wireless headphones, so we can all bounce to the groove, bounce to the grooves, bounce to the groove, bounce, so we can all bounce to the groove, bounce to the grooves, bounce to the groove, 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 bounce to the 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 groove, by DJ
Neon Nights, sights.
In the neon nights.